And welcome back to the Getting to Know Greenville podcast. I'm Katherine, and normally I'm here with Steven, but he had an appointment to go to, so it's just me today, and I'm joined with the lovely Leyly Bagherof, right? Is that
Bagherof.
Bagherof.
Yeah, close enough.
Leyly Bagherof, and she is the owner of Sun and Soil in downtown Greenville. I am so excited to talk to you about this because this is my favorite plant store in Greenville. So I kind of just wanted to start by having you tell us about yourself, tell us about the business, tell us about like how you got started.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm 26. I'm a Greenville native. I was born and raised here. I went to college here, and then I left for 2 years for grad school. And this is important because it kind of feeds into what inspired Sun and Soil, or like how we ended up at Sun and Soil. But growing up in Greenville, I love Greenville, but of course I feel like when you're in a place for so long, you kind of want to leave, you want to venture out. So I left for 2 years for grad school. I was in upstate New York.
Oh my gosh.
And the weather, girl, the weather, I love it. It was fun for there, but I was like, I have to go back down south. I'm a Southern girl at heart. So yeah, I mean, it also kind of feeded into, or COVID had a lot to do with it because I would have graduated that May of COVID. Mm-hmm. So I came back here, finished my degree online.
Yes.
In a very anticlimactic way, like graduated in my childhood bedroom.
That's literally how it was for me too, though. I graduated during COVID. And
yeah, it was very anticlimactic.
It's a whimper, not a bang.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was about to start I was going to start my doctoral degree. And I was like,
Now, what were you studying?
I was studying opera.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So were you going to be a professor or?
That was the goal. I wanted to do performing and then also teach in like a university setting. Mm-hmm. Music was my whole life, and it still is. And I hope one day to like incorporate that somehow or get back to it. But
doing operas in the plant store?
I would love to do that.
I'm so here for it. Yes.
And so, I was going to go back up there and live there, but we were doing everything online. And I was like, I don't want to do a 3-year postgraduate degree that's like mainly performance-based online. So I decided to kind of put a hold on that. And I was down here trying to decide what I wanted to do. And my parents they are business owners, and I grew up with business always being around me. And I love business. I really do. Not to the point, I don't think necessarily like had I gone to business school, that would have benefited me in any way. I think I just have a knack to it naturally. Maybe growing up that was, being around it had something to do with it. But I was trying to figure out, I want to do something business-wise in Greenville. Like, what do I think would do well? And it kind of hit me. There was like, I remember a day specifically, I was sitting and talking with my mom, and I was like, I'm obsessed with house plants. Not just any plants. I'm obsessed with indoor plants specifically. Mm-hmm. I have a great respect and love for outdoor plants. Yeah. But I don't have an outdoor thumb. I don't know what that's about. That's something it's a sensitive subject. My garden did not do well this year.
Oh my God.
I had like maybe one tomato. So I have
better than I'm doing. So
it's
killing
hard.
It's hard.
I have a profound respect now for anyone that can successfully outdoor garden.
But see, that's how I am. I'm like, in the opposite. Like, I'm not saying that I have an outdoor thumb, but of the two, I have a little bit more experience outdoors. And like indoor plants, to me, it's like a whole different world. So
it's interesting.
Big power to you. But really anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
Please
that's
continue.
Okay. So I was like, through my travels, I traveled a lot during my graduate degree. I remember like one of my favorite things is you always look up on Yelp, like what the top rated place to go eat, to go drink. But I was always like, and I need to check out a plant store.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I was thinking about it, there's so many great nurseries and garden centers in Greenville. There's a lot of them, and they all have indoor plants. There's always, an aspect to it. But I was like, what if there's a place that is specifically all indoor plants? So you get really, really specific care instructions for any indoor plants, troubleshooting, and then aside from the plants, also having everything related to the plants. So it's kind of like your one-stop shop. Yeah. So you have the pots, so you don't have to go and spend another week finding the pot that you like for your style. And then we also pot everything here for you. So
which I love.
That was a big thing too, is even at first I was like, it makes sense for anyone that has an apartment or small living, but even me at home, like when I want to repot my plants, or if I get a new plant and I pot it, you end up with that giant bag of dirt that you use for 2 plants, and then it sits there and it takes up space, or it goes bad, you never use it. or just making a mess, you know, like when I was in an apartment, it was kind of, you don't want to pot it in your sink because then the dirt gets in the sink, but then you don't want to get dirt all over the floor. So that was something that I think is really important and our customers really, really enjoy. So.
Oh my God, yes. I can preach for that because I'm in an apartment, and I remember I've gotten several plants from here before.
Yeah.
And, like, it saves me so much stress because I don't want to have, like, I don't have any room for soil anywhere in my apartment.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice to not have to think about that or worry about that. So,
and we love making the mess. Like, we have it down to a system now where, like, even when we pot, we'll make a mess back there, and it's just so easy to clean up. Yeah. And it also just brings us a lot of joy knowing that this is actually, like, a significant, I mean, this is a bother to people, and we're solving it by offering this. So.
Truly, yes. And I kind of wanted to ask, like, why Greenville? Because you had moved up to upstate New York. Did you, were you, I know that you said you realized you were a Southern girl. Why was Greenville, like, specifically the place? Was it just because of your family, or was it that you saw something here business-wise that you maybe didn't see in other places?
Definitely. A little bit of both. So I'm an only child, and my parents are both from different countries. So they are truly the only family I have in the U.S. So that's one thing is I do, as much as I'm like, I'd love to live in Charleston. I'd love to just live all over the U.S. I want to be near my parents. Yeah. So that was a big factor. And then I just love Greenville. It's funny because growing up, I mean, I was so keen on getting out of Greenville. I was like, I want to go to New York City. I want to go to Boston. I want to get out of this tiny, janky Southern town. Yes. And now it's not even that, like, leaving for 2 years, like, I came back and it was a totally different Greenville, which it kind of is because it's changed so much. But just being away, I like everything that I'm looking for in a city, Greenville really does have. I mean, I think it's perfect for raising a family. Yeah. It's perfect for retiring. It's perfect for our age right now. Like,
young business owners and like young professionals. Yes. Oh my God.
There is so much opportunity. The like growth of the city is something that I know is kind of a touchy subject with some people, especially native Greenvillians, because of course you don't want, you know, big companies coming in. You don't want this flux of people coming in because you want to keep it your small little Greenville. But I think it's so important because otherwise, you know, we would never get all of these amazing new things that we have.
Truly. And on top of that, like, we've talked about this so many times on, like, videos and podcasts, whatever, but, like, Greenville's economy is insulated because of BMW and Michelin and these huge companies that, like, saved us from massive national tragedies that happened everywhere else. Like, we didn't even go in the red in 2008. Like, right now, our housing market and our economy is so much stronger than the rest of the country because we're, like, insulated by these bigger companies that are not, they're also, like, on the outskirts enough to where they're not, like, ruining landscape.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that's that was kind of on to, like, I guess my next question.
Yeah.
Not that was a really smooth segue at all. But I wanted to ask, like, one of the things that I really, really love about your store is its aesthetic. I don't know if I've ever, and to be fair, I'm not going to say I'm super well versed in plant stores, but I've never seen this kind of aesthetic in a plant store before. That's, like, just so, like, chic, where it's like,
thank you.
It's very sleek and chic and, like, modern, and, like, you have just the most adorable, like, modern looking pots, and you also even sell, like, these little moss plants with cowboy hats on. Like, it's such a mood, and it's such a unique kind of visual experience on top of it being a unique just indoor plant store. Like, what was your vision for that? Where did that come from, and how did you execute it?
So it's actually kind of funny because when I was first explaining this to my parents, who are a little bit older, they were kind of like, why is that such a big part of your vision? And it's not to say that it's, you know, our only clientele or the only people we're, like, targeting, quote unquote, are younger people. But when I was traveling to all these, you know, just traveling around, going to these different plant stores, I love a good Instagram pic.
Yes.
I love a good Instagram pic. Call me what you will, but I love it. And a lot of times I either felt uncomfortable, like, taking a photo in the store, or the store was uncomfortable with you taking photos in the store. And I understand it. That's just not me. And I was like, I want this to be a place where you can come in and I will take the Instagram pictures for you. Yeah. Like, sometimes people come in and they're by themselves, and I'm like, I will sit here and have a full photo shoot with you, because I think as irrelevant as some people might think getting content is, or why is that important, it's fun.
Oh my
There's
God,
not
yes.
enough fun things, especially when we were, you know, during the pandemic. That was something that, obviously, opening a business during the pandemic was a ballsy choice.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that you did, but you opened during the pandemic too.
We did. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that was something where I was like, this, just plants in general, it's a happy thing, but a safe place where you can come and you'll never feel judged. We have people come in. We let professional photographers come in for free during our business hours and use the space.
That's so smart too.
We're closed Sundays and Mondays, so on those days, if that only works out for people, we charge them a little just because someone has to be here. Yeah. But anytime we're open, professional, not professional, anything, you're more than welcome to use the space. And we've had people come in and do. We had an engagement shoot. We had a bridal or a pregnancy announcement. We've had a couple shoot. I mean, everything, portraits, and I love that we're a space that people come to do that. So that was definitely like a very big part of what I wanted this space to be. And I mean, obviously it just so happens that plants are so aesthetic.
Yeah, they are.
I'm a little biased, but
yes. Where did you get the idea for like the very physical, like the pot aesthetics? Because they they're so specific, very like smooth and sleek. And also the little like flamboyancies, like the cowboy hats.
Sure.
Where it's like, was that like you had that in your brain already, like you knew those things and you wanted those specific things, or did you stumble upon these things?
The Moss Amigos, absolutely stumbled across it. The Moss
Amigos, I didn't know that's
so
what
cute.
Called.
Moss Amigos.
Oh, I love that.
And they actually, it's so fun for fall. They have little beanies you can get. They're so cute.
Oh my god.
They're one of my favorite things, and I also am very proud that like we're the only place in Greenville that has them.
Yeah.
So we've had so many people come in and be like, we're the moss balls. Like, that sounds weird, but we're the moss balls. And I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
What was your question before that?
No, it was just
the pots and everything.
The pots
okay,
and everything.
Sorry. I knew I wanted to have, quote unquote, some sort of aesthetic pots, mainly because prior to this, like my plant obsession was so unhealthy, which not unhealthy because there's no judgment. There's no such thing as unhealthy plant addiction.
Not at all.
But it was just so aggressive that I was always getting new plants and I wanted them to be cute. I love the terracotta. That's a very easy, everyone has that. You can get that at Home Depot. But I wanted it to match my apartment, and it was really hard to find, just a sleek, chic, plain planter, you know? There's a very specific type of ceramic planter that is, at least as a wholesale aspect, is easy to get your hands on, but I would almost say some people would say it's dated because it's just a very, it's something you would see at like your grandma or grandpa's house.
Well, that's part of the reason why I asked, was because, I
and there's nothing wrong with grandma and grandpa's house. It's just it doesn't match your vibe.
No, but especially, and truly, like, I think a lot of people are like being more intentional about curating their home spaces and stuff. And for me, like, getting pots that are a part of my color scheme was really important to me, and the terracotta ones, like, were just not hitting.
They're just not it.
And
that's another thing that kind of going into that is that we have so many people come in and they'll take pictures of their space and they'll be like, what do you think matches? And then we'll give them some options. There's usually a winner or two in there. But that's why I just love, the pots have definitely grown as we've grown. So I've been lucky to find more wholesalers with more options, more fun options. I have to show you, we have a really cute snake one back there. So like the saucer is a snake and you put the pot on top of it and it like snakes around the saucer. It's so cute.
I'm obsessed.
I love it. And
I was looking at your little giraffe ones too. They're so
cute. Things like that, like you said, it incorporates like it's intentional design as well. So that was really important. I think sometimes, we just don't have what someone's looking for, and that's okay. But I think our variety has gotten so big that usually almost always everyone's able to find something that they like, incorporating that we have the like more plain colors versus like fun pots, textures, designs, things like that. So.
Yeah, totally. I kind of wanted to also touch on, you were mentioning earlier that Greenville was everything that you wanted in a place to live. But also as a business owner, I was going to ask you, Greenville obviously is like known, honestly, nationwide as like a notoriously green city somewhere. Like we have like lavish parks everywhere, like beautiful flora and everything like that. And I wanted to ask you, what is it like being a business owner of green things in such a green city?
That is such a good question. That really is a good question because I honestly, I hadn't really thought that we would be anything more than just a retail. I thought we were just going to be a store. But we have gotten to add greenery around Greenville in businesses, in apartment complexes, restaurants. I mean, we've been included in so many other things. And a lot of the office spaces where there never would have been greenery because they were under the impression that we don't have great lighting, so we have to put fake plants up.
Right.
So that's been really nice. I think it's also really neat that so many people come in and they're like, now I notice, because, they bought a plant or two. So they kind of started their little plant addiction, their green thumb, and they come in and they'll be like, I've started noticing around town when I'm at places, like I've noticed a fiddle in an office building, or when I'm at the doctor's, I've noticed that there's a peace lily. So I think that's also kind of cool too, is that people that not necessarily, they didn't consider the fact that Greenville has so much greenery in and around it. Even like in the new Unity Park, there's some plants that are outdoor plants that can also be indoor plants, and someone came in and she was like, I recognize that plant, like I have that plant. That's
the best feeling ever too. Like when you recognize plants, you feel like you
feel accomplished, you feel like you know something.
You're like I'm a botanist now, like this feels amazing. And then I was gonna kind of on that same vein, like as a local business, like I used to live in Knoxville, and I noticed there that there was like sort of a small business community. Do you feel, is that something that exists here too, where it's like all the small local businesses are like, hey, how are you, supportive?
That is one of my favorite parts, honestly, about being a business owner in Greenville that I didn't expect. The community, there's a larger community, and of course then there are the smaller communities within that of like similar type business owners or places that have similar vibes, but the support is unbelievable. I mean, and it's not even just like the support from one business owner to another, it's the true like caring of, I want your business to thrive, has been amazing. Honestly, the first one that comes to mind is Modal right down the road. I mean, from day one, he's been so supportive, and like we love to send people down there, and because people come in often, walking away from downtown, and they're like, is anything past this? And I'm like, there's an amazing coffee shop right down the street, and they go there for the first time and they are in love. They love it. So
did they just open?
No, they opened before we did, but it's one of those things where they're also a hostel. So that's their thing.
It's
like a combination. So coffee.
Do you know now Rattlesnake Press?
Yeah.
They have like their opening magazine parties there all the time, and I've been there before for that.
It's so beautiful on the inside.
The reason why I was asking was, also Modal, totally plugged. But I was asking because I saw another bakery that you had plugged on your Instagram.
Basta Bakery.
That was the one, and I was like loving that. I was seeing so much like business interaction where you posted that on your business Instagram, introduced me to a completely new bakery, which I love. Like, is that kind of like a common thing where you feel like businesses are always plucking each other? Because I think so.
Yeah, but the really truly genuine ones, I think. Like for example, with the Basta Bakery, I'd never had her treats before. I just heard amazing things about it, and then I knew she was opening up her store, and I think it is really important for, at least I really do. It's a personal thing. I get it. I think it's so important to support other small businesses. Other female-owned small businesses.
Absolutely.
Everyone you ask, especially in the South, it's still kind of a touchy subject, but I found it a little bit more difficult opening the business as a woman. There were just some things that I'm like, come on, in this day and age, like this shouldn't be a problem. And I wouldn't say it was a problem. It was just things that had I not been a woman, it wouldn't have been so difficult. Right. So that's why I think, especially now that I'm a little more established, it's so important to, and you don't lose anything. You don't lose anything by supporting this other thing. I will say though, you haven't had Basta Bakery?
No, not yet. I want to.
They're vegan. And they have gluten-free options, dairy-free options, and they taste better than regular, like, gluten-full, unvegan.
No way.
I mean, my mom and I, so we went on her grand opening, and, like, we sat in the car and, like, went into a food coma. This is a big plug for Basta Bakery.
Big plug.
But I had the box on the counter because I brought my employee one that day.
Oh, yeah.
And some people were like, oh, my gosh, what is that? I've never seen that before. So I am always happy to plug any other female-owned small businesses. But to get back to your question, the business community in Greenville, it really and truly is great. It is one of the things that brings me a lot of joy as a business owner, and just, I mean, the friendships that have come out of it. There are so many friendships that I have that aren't just good business partnerships. They're just great, like, people to know, to recommend when someone comes in and they're like, oh, I've been having a really stressful month and I haven't really found, like a meditation or a yoga class I've loved. I'm like, let me recommend Perrin at Breathe Well, Be Well. Like, she's great. So things like that, it's just really nice, I think, to also keep the small business community going. I mean, word of mouth goes a long way. So
oh yeah, big time. And I also love because again, it's like I follow you guys on Instagram, so I see this all the time, the different events that you have here that are like a partnership. Love that. Like, they do yoga here on some days. They do like we do Wiggle Wednesday once a month with dogs. Yes, and then you do, like, don't you have like a bar in here that's just like a little?
We do. We have a little complimentary bar card for anyone that's over 21, and we, that's just in there. It honestly kind of started as there were a lot of couples that would come in, especially last summer, and, you know, us girls go crazy over the plants, and the guys would just be hanging out on the couch, getting kind of annoyed, being like, all right, let's go. So it wasn't, someone joked, they were like, you're just trying to get, you know, the husbands drunk so that then they give the girls the credit card. And I'm like, no, it genuinely was like, I want you to enjoy being here too. I don't want you to hate, like, hey honey, we're going to the plant store.
Truly.
So
but also, like, if there's like collateral damage, it's like not your fault.
But that was even a partnership because we're really good friends with 8th State, the brewery next door. And one of our friends over there helped us pick out, you know, what we should put on the bar cart at first. He had great suggestions. Aside from, I love plants, I love business, the community is just incredible. And that's one thing I don't necessarily know. Obviously, every city is different and every city has a community. I don't know, and I'm biased, I don't know that it would be as great as it is in Greenville, because Greenville is just so great.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I say this to people all the time. I'm sure my friends are, like, tired of me of saying that. But, like, we were voted the #1 friendliest city in the country for 3 years in a row by Condé Nast Traveler. And I was like, I mean, where's the lie? Everybody is so kind and so sweet and loving.
And I will say, those 2 years that I was in New York, I knew, you know, the stereotype that people, the Southern hospitality, I really was like culture shocked. And like, I can be that way, you know, I can adapt, but deep down inside I was like, I miss the good old South. Like, everyone's nice to you for no reason.
Truly, I like studied in Brussels for a little bit, and when I was there, I was like, I mean, this is cool, but same culture shock. Where, like, I remember one day I was on the phone with my mom, and she was in literally a plant store. And the woman behind the counter was like, "Hey, honey, how are you?" And over the phone, I was like, I'm getting choked up because I miss that. Right, I miss that, like, wonderful, loving, just like, it doesn't matter if you're a stranger. Like, hey, honey, are you doing all right? You know,
we're so blessed.
Yeah, we are so blessed. And my final question, which you've definitely probably answered a little bit already, but just to kind of give you like a chance if you had anything else, like, I always like to ask our guests finally, like, what is your favorite thing about living, working, whatever you want to talk about in Greenville, which I know you've mentioned the community. Are there, I mean, pretty much everything.
I could talk about that forever. Really. And it's funny. My family thinks it's funny. I think it's funny truly, because growing up in Greenville, I was kind of embarrassed when I'd go places, you know, like I did summer camps, I did things. And people would be like, where are you from? And I'd be like, Greenville, South Carolina. And they're like, where's that? I don't know that. I know Columbia, I know Charleston. But now I'm like, I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. You don't know of it? Shame on you.
Literally. I'm like, it's such a badge of pride, because it's a wonderful city to be from.
And growing up in Greenville, when did you move to Greenville?
Officially a year ago, but I went to Furman.
Okay. So even in that time, since, I mean, like 6 years ago, it's changed so much. But truly, since I was little, I mean, downtown didn't exist past where like Trio is now, like past Coffee Street. Like, you just didn't go down there. There was nothing. And so I'm so proud of like this city. I am a big foodie, and I tell people there are cities with more options, but no cities with options where every option is great.
Exactly.
That wasn't super I didn't put that super elegant, but
I could not have said it better myself, though. That's what I tell people all the time, where it's like, I mean, like, I literally just came back from a trip from New York, and it was like, yes, there's so many options, but not all of them are 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Like, literally everything in Greenville is so good.
I have a difficult time when people are like, where should we go for dinner? Do you have any recommendations? A lot of people are visiting, and like, they've started here, and then they're going to go like through downtown. And I'm like, honestly, you're going to give me parameters, because if I just had to pick a restaurant, I couldn't. There's so many good restaurants.
I'm like obsessed with that answer, and I totally agree. I guess my last little thing is, please tell the people where they can find you on social media. Like, y'all definitely need to give them a follow, because the store is obviously stunning. If you're watching this online, like, we're in this beautiful rainforest jungle, like, you need to check out their Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. Like, where can they find you?
So our Instagram is Sun and Soil Plant Parlor. Facebook, same thing, Sun and Soil Plant Parlor. If you ever want to email us, we're sunandsoilco@gmail.com. If you have any follow-up questions. If you have any plant questions, I love troubleshooting plant questions.
Yes.
There's always, there's a few things where I'm still like, I don't truly know what we can do about this. But for the most part, everything can be fixed. Every plant can be saved.
Y'all, I mean, literally, yes. Like, y'all have so many solutions to things I didn't even think of until I came in. And I was like, oh my God, like the gnat thing.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, this is brilliant. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for letting us like invade your space today.
This was so much fun.
Yes, I've had a wonderful time. So yes, please go and give them a follow. And also, if you have any questions for us or want to ask us like any recommendations about like Sun and Soil in the adjoining area, please email us at Stephen@DelisleLink.com or Katherine@DelisleLink.com, or check us out at DelisleProperties.com. So till next time, see y'all.
Bye.